Breaking news. Tonight could be the day that Israel and Hamas announce their hostage deal. A hostage release deal has been pushed by Benjamin Netanyahu's government, and according to diplomatic sources, the announcement of a deal with Hamas could be made as soon as tonight, according to The Independent. As part of an agreement brokered by Qatar, the Israeli military offensive on the besieged territory of Gaza would temporarily halt, and dozens of hostages held within the territory would be freed. One day following the announcement, the agreement could be put into effect, according to The Independent's understanding. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated at a late meeting that the full support of security officials was behind an agreement, and he vowed to keep fighting Hamas even if hostilities ceased. Video message from Mr. Netanyahu to the cabinet: "But we will not stop until we have total victory. The return of the hostages is a sacred and top goal," according to Mr. Netanyahu. Majid al-Ansari, a spokesman for Qatar's foreign ministry, stated that the parties were in the closest point we ever had been in reaching an agreement, and that the negotiations were in a critical and final stage. "My team is in the region shuttling between capitals," U.S. President Joe Biden said. According to him, they are now on the verge of returning some of the hostages to their home countries in the near future. "But I don't want to get into the details because nothing is done until it's done." The United States was working very hard to finalize the deal, according to National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby, who also admitted that the last hours were the most delicate. He refused to say whether any of the 50 or more hostages set to be freed as a result of the deal are American citizens. The deal reportedly involved Israelis or dual nationals, and for every 10 hostages that Hamas frees, the anticipated 4-day pause could be extended by 1 day, according to sources who spoke to The Independent. "Our distance has decreased," Mr. Kirby stated. "We're obviously putting in a lot of time and effort, and we're all keeping our fingers crossed. On the other hand, we would rather not say anything now that might jeopardize the deal even more." This follows confirmation by the leader of the militant group's political wing, Ismail Haniyeh, that Hamas was close to reaching a deal on a truce, and had sent its response to mediators in Qatar on Tuesday morning. According to an official from Hamas, Isid el-Rishik, who spoke to Qatar's main television channel Al Jazeera, the main points of discussion in the negotiations were the duration of the truce, the logistics of delivering aid to Gaza, and the specifics of the exchange of prisoners. According to sources close to the negotiations, The Independent has learned that a possible ceasefire in hostilities could lead to the release of up to 75 civilian hostages, including dozens of children. So far, nothing has been signed, so it is important to proceed cautiously, according to one diplomatic source, who also mentioned that previous attempts to get this far have failed at the last hurdle. There may be a ground truce and restrictions on Israeli air operations over southern Gaza, according to media reports, which could last up to 5 days. Axios reports that if the hostages were released, 300 Palestinians would be freed from Israeli prisons, with the idea being that 3 prisoners would be used for every hostage. It is understood by The Independent that the precise ratio of the number of Israeli hostages to the number of Palestinian prisoners has not been decided.